Okay, so here's the thing about this exhibition between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. Listen, as much as people would like to believe that it's staged or a fixed fight where Tyson will more than likely take a dive, as much as everyone's so sure that it's real and that it's basically going to be elderly abuse with Jake dog walking Mike or Tyson laying this boy out in the first round, although all those scenarios and theories are possible, and of course one of them is more than likely to take place, the one thing I noticed is, if you're truly invested in this matchup and actually taking it serious, the face-off on Wednesday basically told us more than we may need to know going into Friday night's fight. Now, I know all the attention has been shifted to the slap at the weigh-in, and that's all everyone's talking about, but without getting too deep into the slap, the only thing I can take away from that exchange is probably the more common assumption that, they're selling the fight. Everyone loves drama. No one, including myself, is really taking the fight serious, so desperate times call for desperate measures, right? Well, let's just say maybe Mike slapped Jake for other reasons. Like maybe he really did get upset that Jake stepped on his foot and wanted to deliver a receipt, or maybe, like Tyson said, the time for talk is over and he wanted to let Jake Paul know that he better come with it because he's not going in there to play with him either. Or maybe, just maybe, Mike Tyson's going into business for himself and isn't following any script. Shit, that could have also been his way of letting everyone know that there's no okie doke going on where he's taking a dive. Shit, the way Mike is talking, he might be going rogue and really trying to go in there to win. See, when everyone makes these assumptions about how it's staged, or how Jake, who obviously was supposed to be that close for a face-off, had his chin sticking out for the slap, people have to understand, what if Mike is scared? What if that was a last-minute desperation attempt to try and instill some fear into the young buck before they step into the ring? I mean, we have to consider that nothing is out of the realm of possibility when we have an old man, a legend, facing a rich YouTuber. Hey, people do crazy shit sometimes, and I say all of this as someone who doesn't really care for this fight and really gave it little to no attention up until this point. To be honest, I'm a part of the crowd that's looking more forward to the rematch that will be taking place on the undercard between Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. However, after Jake and Mike's face-off on Wednesday, a lot of people, preferably Tyson fans and Jake haters, think that Jake Paul is afraid. The perception is that he looked rattled, he looked nervous. But see, the thing is, if that were the case, he's supposed to. That's Mike Tyson. And even if he is 58 years old, if you're Jake Paul, you're telling yourself, I can't let this old ass man knock me out. Shit, I'm not about to be a meme through the holidays and all of next year. So that's completely natural with the fight game in general. This shit is getting real for him. And on the flip side, Mike appeared to be cool, calm, and collective, right? Of course he is. Why wouldn't he be? Because Mike knows what he signed up for. Don't get it twisted though. If you look at Tyson's eyes, he's taking Jake Paul just as serious. Now, no 30 or 40-second clips of training can verify just how hard he trained, but in my opinion, even if this is for the money, I believe Tyson trained his ass off for this YouTuber the best that he could. I might even go as far as to say that the reason the fight was postponed from July to November was so that Mike could buy himself some time and actually train, highly prepared for this shit the right way. Yeah, I feel like Tyson tried to play everyone, and I've thought this since day one, and that could also be what he's alluded to with the slap. Like, yo, I'm ready. Listen, I never bought that whole ulcer flare-up story. Now, I would never say that it didn't happen because at the end of the day, he's almost 60 years old. So health will always be a concern. But hey, either way, maybe the boxing gods were doing Tyson a favor altogether. Of course, I wouldn't be surprised if Jake Paul smokes Mike Tyson. I really wouldn't. And no, I don't think Tyson is taking a dive. If Jake Paul whips Mike Tyson's ass, it's just going to be because he whipped Mike Tyson's ass. And since Father Time's undefeated, that's obviously why Jake Paul is the favorite. It's common sense. But see, here's where it gets tricky. Most of us believe that if Mike is going to have any chance, it would be earlier in the fight, preferably the first 2 to 3 rounds, because of course Tyson is an old man, and the longer it goes, the more that will weigh on him physically. However, if Mike Tyson does go in there and knocks Jake Paul the fuck out, all of you who were so sure that Jake Paul was just going to walk through him, better not get on these apps talking about how the fight was fixed. Listen, don't do that, because we all know what the casuals are going to say if Jake Paul wins. They've been waiting to run with that narrative, and we can't forget Tommy Fury's an amateur who did beat Jake Paul, and although Tyson isn't 25 years old, he has more experience than both of them put together. Also, everyone knows that power is the last thing to go. So keep that in mind in the event that Mike leans this nigga, man. It's hard for me to pick a winner due to the fact that everything appears to favor Jake Paul other than Mike just being more experienced and, being built different. But for the Mike Tyson fans and everyone who's hoping that the old dog learns some new tricks and still has that beast inside of him, I don't want you guys to be caught off guard if Jake does end up making light work of Mike Tyson. Because the fight may not be fixed, but it's definitely rigged for Jake Paul to win, which could be another reason Mike Tyson is pissed. See, I don't know if anyone saw the video where Joe Rogan was leaking this information, but he let it be known that they have a certain specific set of stipulations in the contract that if Mike Tyson knocks Jake Paul out in the first round, Mike gets no money at all. If he knocks Jake Paul out in the second round, he gets a very light lump sum of the money. So Tyson basically has to let the fight go on as long as possible in order to make all his money while still having to avoid being hurt himself in the process. So if Mike is physically fading here, he really can't defend himself from a Jake Paul onslaught. Like, think about it. His best chances are early in the fight, of course, but he gets no reward if he gives us a vintage performance, and in order for him to cash out, he has to play keep away the entire time. That's like having two arms tied behind your back when you're already at a disadvantage. Then to top it all off, if the fight goes to decision, Jake literally picked the judges. They were handpicked by Jake Paul himself, which all goes back to my main point and why Jake could actually be nervous. Like, what if Mike says, fuck the money, I'm going for the knockout? Hey, you just never really know. So yeah, anyways, this might end up being really sad all around the board, and the only thing that scares me for Mike, bruh, really is this here. Look at the slap from this angle and how stiff his neck looks. Like, I get his reflexes and his hands still appear to be sharp, but this here worries me, and I really hope look, all I know is if Jake Paul abuses old man Tyson, he better watch himself, because he's not only going to be the most hated man in the world outside of Donald Trump, but you already know how the boxing community is, and the boys are going to be on his ass. I could see it now. Not only are the young professional fighters going to take it personal, but even the OGs like Antonio Tarver and James Toney, they going to want the smoke. We already see crazy ass Oscar De La Hoya calling out Eddie Hearns, so I wouldn't rule out anything at this point.